The member from Lambton-Kent-Middlesex.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. My question today is for the Premier. Late last week, the National Post exposed a secret report on the nearly $5 billion a year Ontario spends on business subsidies. This report concluded, and I quote, "Ontario's business support programs favour the largest and oldest companies, the companies least likely to be in need of support," unquote. Speaker, the Auditor General has already confirmed that companies are handpicked by the Liberal government to receive grants, and the government doesn't even track the results of the nearly $5 billion spent per year. Speaker, I've been calling on the Minister of Economic Development since January to make public all past grants, and I'm still waiting. So my question this morning is simple. Will the Premier make public all grants handed out to private companies under the Liberal government?
Question.
And if not, what is she hiding?
Economic Development, Employment and Infrastructure.
Minister of Economic Employment and Infrastructure.
Mr. Speaker, we're happy to share publicly all of the investments that we've made with businesses across this province. In all, Mr. Speaker, we've invested $2.8 billion. That's leveraged $29 billion in private sector investment here in Ontario rather than somewhere else in the world. That's 160,000 Ontarians whose jobs have either been created or supported as a result of these investments. The question I think Ontarians need to ask is, where does the member's leader stand on this? Does he stand with his critic, who we know is a philosophically challenged critic on these issues, or does he stand where he used to stand when he was an MP in Ottawa, where I have pictures with the Leader of the Opposition, which I won't show, Mr. Speaker, in Barrie at an IBM investment, just like all the other investments we've made, Mr. Speaker, where he's praising the investments we've made. Where does the leader stand today?
Order. Supplementary.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, and I'm glad that the government has finally acknowledged and agreed that they will present the list. We just want to know when this list will be exposed and where we can find it, Mr. Speaker. Of the $5 billion per year in business support programs, we know that the largest and most successful companies across Ontario receive the lion's share of this funding. We also know that the Ministry of Economic Development has no idea whether the money being spent is actually creating jobs or helping our economy. What's more, much of that money was spent with no public application process, and instead the Minister of Economic Development and the Premier handpicks companies that would receive the payouts behind closed doors by invitation only. Speaker, there's a shockingly high number of Liberal Party donors who have also received corporate welfare. Will the Premier clear the air and tell us which companies were invited to apply for this money and why, or did she simply use a list of Liberal Party donors, or will it take a public inquiry?
Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I think Ontarians are getting very curious at where the Leader of the Opposition stands on the $2.8 billion that we've invested to accrue $29 billion in private sector investment and create or support 160,000 jobs. Mr. Speaker, I'm going to send over a great picture of the Leader of the Opposition holding a ribbon we were cutting in Barrie for one of those investments. This is what he had to say that day. The advanced knowledge coming from the Collaborative Research and Innovation Platform funded by our government, referring to the federal government.
The member from Stormont, Dundas, and Gary can move chairs, but I'm still going to catch it.
Let me finish the quote, Mr. Speaker. The Leader of the Opposition goes on to say, "This will be a strategic asset for Canada to advance homegrown innovation on the world stage. We're building up our innovation, we're building up companies, we're creating jobs, and we'll do so with or without the support."
Thank you.